tonight's book review is actually a library book. And the reason why it's a library book, because the price of this book is $80. And it's about 192 pages. So it's a pretty expensive book, and I don't have the money to buy it right now. But it's an excellent book because it's the most up-to-date book I know of on lightning. Unless you go to a university that and take a course on fulminology. And there's only one university in the United States that even offers a degree program in fulminology, the study of lightning. So, which is kind of mysterious, you know. To me, it's one of the most important researches out there because it answers some philosophical questions about life and the key of life. But it's called Lightning Properties and Formation and Types, put out by Matthew D. Wood. He's the editor, and it's put out by Nova Science Publishers Incorporated. And it's put out by 2011, so this is a pretty up-to-date book, and it's what I liked about it. It's a compilation of research notes and stuff from people, science teams all over the world that actually have been studying lightning. And there's some, you know, some of the stuff is coming from Austria. And if you go to the back here and look at the footnotes, you know, different parts of the world, each one of these chapters had a whole list of researchers. So, you know, it's only a chapter, but, you know, it's a kind of a compilation of different research papers that are published all over published all over the world. So, you know, it's not a best-selling book. In fact, none of the books I've done reviews on are actually bestsellers. Cosmos was a bestseller. I haven't done a review on that. Everybody saw the TV series, so everybody knows what it's about. But these kind of books are kind of a scarcity. I don't know why, because, you know, to me this is one of the most important pieces of research you could do out there. And there's just very limited books on it, on lightning, you know. One of the problems that I see in their lightning research is a lot of times they were using lab experiments instead of using real lightning. I can give some suggestions as to why they did that, but the possibility of an explosion, you know, gas combusting and actually exploding, you know, that may have been the reason. But I mean, to do real lightning research, you have to be on top of a mountain or something like that and set it up on a mountain away from civilian populations and stuff, and, you know, wait till a storm comes up and then do it from to really do the job right. If there's a risk of, you know, spontaneous combustion or something like that, where it just something explodes, and have to be away from a population center, like somewhere up there on a mountain or something. But most of these were done in lab situations, so, you know, and a lot of the results for some of the results were kind of inconclusive. So, but a lot of this stuff it was put together, and it's not, they were put in together research notes. You know, you got the Freedom of Information Act, and, you know, this kind of stuff was compiled in one book, and it's not going to be an international bestseller. I mean, a lot of people just don't care. So, you know, but it's a great book. It's the best book I know of right now on lightning. But the first chapter talks about the physical basis of ball lightning. You know, ball lightning is kind of a strange phenomenon because they really didn't understand it. You know, I've always talked about the witch's ball in 2 other lectures, but everything in the universe is centered around a ball. And ball lightning operates on the same principle. You know, you get these lightning balls, and so the gas starts to energize and lights up, and the lightning kind of ball rolls with it around the planetary disk of the lightning. So, you know, everything out there in the universe always centers around the witch's ball. So, you know, if you want to go back to barbarian Europe, and I'm going to go, the next book review I'm going to do is going to talk about some of that stuff that were taught by witches back then. But a lot of that stuff kind of has an extraterrestrial origin to it, or it's based in scientific truths that were taught to barbarians back then. And people in the Renaissance era, as far as being a head witch, and how they get their information, they use the craft. So, you know, ball lightning works on the same principles though, because it's the same. Talks about 2 hypotheses, which I want to make clear. There are 2 essentially distinct opinions. On one of them starts with the hypothesis that the generation and lifetime of ball lightning can be explained by considering the nature of the material located in it during its generation by the linear lightning. So depending on what the location of the material is, it would trigger the what reaction. So different reactions range from chemical to nuclear ones, initiated by the energy injected by the lightning, was considered to be at the origin of the ball lightning. See, so that's another reason. It's kind of like cold fusion. You know, I don't think you would create an atomic bomb. The hydrogen bombs, they did make hydrogen bombs, which is, you know, pretty deadly in nuclear sentences, but I don't think you get that kind of explosion. But they did. So the other opinion relates to the appearance and lifetime of the ball lightning to a local concentration of high frequency electric field energy. Such phenomena is possible after interference of electromagnetic waves generated by linear lighting and other electrical phenomena occurred during thunderstorms in the atmosphere of the Earth. This is argued by measurements showing that lightning flashes generates dampened electromagnetic waves used during surplus the time span of their occurrence. It says it considered the ball lightning as a giant accumulator charged by ordinary lightning, where the accumulated chemical energy is released from the form of an electrical discharge. Considering the ball lightning to be a thermochemical heat pump powered by the electric field of a thunderstorm. So, it's something else I want to add to that one, though, is people have actually been hit by lightning and survived it. You're talking millions of volts of electricity, and I think if they said that they could harness a bolt of lightning, it would power a city for, you know, several generations. So it's a lot of power, and the human body can take a strike from it and survive it without getting smoked. So the conclusion you have to come to is more plasma energy, which is what we're made of. As I was saying earlier, I can actually focus plasma energy between my hands like this. And it's the same type of energy. It's plasma energy. It's not, it's an electrical discharge, but it's actually a plasma that's actually compatible with my body. The only thing it's not compatible with is my heart. So people have gotten struck by lightning. Yeah, sometimes if the heart stops, they die. But it's not actually from being smoked from the lightning itself. But it's actually, you know, it's actually a plasma, which is equivalent to what we're made of. So there's, you know, it's part of the key of life. What part, I'm not exactly sure, but it's part of it. You know, it's also part of the formation of stellar disk and creating the sun. That's in chapter 8, but just can't kind of think of lightning. It's not a they built Van de Graaff generators, which is electricity, but if you were to walk out to the Van de Graaff generator, you would get electrocuted and die. You know, it's not exactly the same type of energy. It's not a plasma. It's just electron discharges, and it's not exactly the same thing. So, you know, it's got a, but it's kind of the same composure. Michael Faraday was kind of a Baron Frankenstein of his time. I mean, he did do some kind of research into that. I wasn't around then. We're talking the 1800s, but he was a very clever engineer, and he started to relate lightning as to maybe kind of a secret to life too, or being part of it, and he did do some research in that. He was a great engineer, but he was kind of the Baron Frankenstein of his time. He started relating that to actually life and living creatures and stuff. So here's the kind of the lab experiments they did. They did it with this is in Leipzig, Germany. They created fireballs with water, 60 amperes of water. The fireballs, they put 60 amps, applied it to water, and it creates the gas, and the gas ignites. So you get this kind of effect here. So they're thinking like, well, maybe that's actually the the actual lightning that's creating that. So, you know, but this is a lab experiment with 60 amperes, and it's not real lightning. It shows you what the experiment was. They use an oscillator, plasma column, plasma source, but it wasn't real lightning. So, you know, and the experiment itself, they got some answers. This is this is one of the harder book lectures. This is one of the books I was reading about 3 pages a night, and then having to think about what I just read, because it's not easy. I'm not a chemist yet. I haven't read a lot of books in chemistry, but I mean, there are some chemistry in here that I didn't totally understand. So it's pretty high up. So you know, depending on what your background is, as to how fast you're going to pick this book up, as far as understanding the principles of the experiments. But it's a pretty neat, exciting book, because there's a lot of pretty legit experimentations involve lightning, and some of these are considered cold fusion reactions. They're not real. There wasn't a lot of heat generated from these gas balls. It's kind of a cold fusion reaction. So you're like, well, you know, how can the human body have an ore or something that's made of energy and not fry our skin or our veins or the rest of our body chemistry? But they've always had it. They know that when you apply lightning to get an area, the gas starts to glow and congregate. It starts to kind of clump together. So you get a kind of a, you start to see the visual part of gas, and gas starts to come together, which is what we're made of in the first place. There's like eight different gases we're actually composed of, plus carbon. And when you apply electrical energy to that, it starts to come together. It starts to come into formation. Well, obviously, human life, we're RNA and DNA, which is the programmer of the gas, but it kind of gives you clues as to how we came into being from just being gassed, and it's all of a sudden lightning and energy arrives. And scientists are already learning today's times that advanced civilizations are based on how they use energy. So if they can use energy and they know how to use energy to create the combined gas and stuff, you're getting into, well, you're starting to look at how the formation is, where how you end up with 8 elements of gas, and you actually end up with us. Plus you have a RNA DMA programmer, and you have a little more complex life. So you start to get into a clue as to what that is. I mean, that's one of the secrets of ball lightning, is that actually energizes gas, which is what we're composed of. And so you're getting a basic foundation of human life in everything on the planet that's actually living. It's actually igniting gas. So you got the witch's ball, and you got a formus, you got the early beginnings of life. So it's a long way to go from just basic hydrogen and helium to us, because we're a lot more complex than that. But when you start using energy and you start being able to fuse that gas together and stuff into complex organisms and stuff, other than just gas molecules, now you start to see a picture of actually, of the origins of life, how we came into being. Yeah, okay, as I said, energy creates ionized gas, and which was what we are. Case in point, you can go buy yourself a room ionizer at Walmart or any other department store and get you, one of those stand-right uprights, and put it in your bedroom before you go to bed at night, and then turn it on. And I guarantee you, the next day you'll feel refreshed, because of the ionized gas is actually you're benefiting yourself, because it's beneficial to us, because that's what we're composed of anyway. So you're getting an extra dose of ionization. So a lot of hospitals nowadays have a room where they have a flowing fountain, and flowing water produces ionization. And a lot of people have had natural healing and stuff from just going and sitting in that room with the ionization, natural ionization, and it creates a lot of beneficial health benefits from it. So now we're getting into homeopathy and stuff, and natural cures for common ailments. So they, I remember when I was a kid, when I was living in an apartment complex with my parents, every time there was a thunderstorm and the lightning was bouncing around, we'd all the kids in the apartment complex, we'd pull our shirts off and stuff and run outside into the parking lot and dance around with the rain pouring down and stuff and the lightning bouncing around. It was kind of a native dance or something, but it was kind of like a celebration of life. If you've been to the Armin van Buren, what is his name? Armin van Buren? I have a hard time pronouncing German. It's called the celebration of life, and that's kind of like what we were doing when we were kids. You feel that ionization of lightning. Anytime there's an electrical storm outside, just step outside on your porch and just breathe in the ionization and stuff, and you feel energized, because it's what we're kind of composed of, and it's just beneficial. And that was kind of like a celebration, we would have when we anytime there was a lightning storm, you felt that energy, that ionization, and the energy feeling that you get from breathing in ionization air and stuff. So it's also associated with God. Lighting is associated with God, so It's understandable because anytime there's a lightning storm, even Native Americans and barbarians in Europe would start feeling that energized, being energized, the energy from ionization, and they'd be refreshed, so they associate it with God, which is understandable. It was kind of a natural healing and stuff. So, you know, naturally they associate it with God. But it works on the same principle. Here's some, it shows you what some of the lab experiments are. They put the lightning in a vacuum chamber. You can see, and here's what they're looking at. So they give you the experiment up here as to what they set up in the laboratory, and they didn't use real lightning. You know, I guess because they feared it exploding. So, you know, which is understandable, but you know, I would have set up on top of a mountaintop or something like that, and you know, but you can see the results that they were getting as down here, so you can actually see. Here's a picture of ball of lightning. It's kind of a rare picture. If you look on the internet under ball of lightning, there are a few pictures that are in there. This is what it looks like. I think I've only seen ball of lightning maybe once or twice, you know. So it's not, you know, I've been around for quite a while, and I've only, you know, maybe twice. I saw them in but actually when I was working in outdoor drama, I saw everybody in the audience saw there's this bright green gas that just grew, and then it spiraled around, and some people thought it was actually a UFO or something. So, you know, I don't know if that was the phenomenon or not. There's a picture of it in the newspaper. But everybody in the audience saw it too. In fact, they almost stopped the show because they could see behind the stage, they could see this green gas just get real bright and start swirling around, and then it finally disappeared. And a lot of people, some of the scientists are saying, well, it's ball lightning. So, you know, maybe you'll never know. Some people are saying, well, maybe it's a UFO or something creating that, you know. But everybody that was in the audience that night saw it behind the stage growing out. There's an outdoor drama, and they could see it too. I was actually on the fort with my musket, and I saw people pointing at something behind the stage. I looked out here and I saw this bright green gas up there in the clouds, you know, just kept growing. I was like, wow, you know. So, now here's all, look at all the number of research papers this book is pulled from. You know, none of this stuff, these are all compiled from different research sources. And, you know, a lot of this stuff will never be in a book. So, you know, you're getting, you know, the editor actually had to pull in a lot of stuff. Some of it's come from Taiwan. There's, you know, there's different universities they did the testing of. Places in New York. So here's a low voltage arcs. Here's in the Soviet Union era, 1971. The Soviets actually did work on plasmonoids, low voltage arcs in cesium vapor. These were composed in laboratories. So, you know. So anyways, these are just, you know, a lot of this research papers and stuff, you know, they never became books, so you have to look all that stuff up. So don't think when you go into a bookstore or a library that all the good stuff is going to be in there. A lot of times you only find it in a science journal. You know, a lot of it never materializes in the book because a lot of people just don't care. It's not interested, you know. The #1 selling books right now are fiction, you know. It isn't science. You know, it's just fiction. People like to read books and kind of fantasize about, you know, action adventure or, you know, or romance or something like that. But that's, you know, a lot of this stuff doesn't make it into actually book format. So don't think just, you know, if you go in a library or bookstore, you're going to get all the, you know, all the you know, all the real information. You're only going to get stuff that they're, you know, that they think they can profit from. They're going to be able to sell books from. So this is one of those books, and but here it talks about extraterrestrial lightning, lightning and dust, and volcanic plumes. That's another place that you find lightning at, and volcanoes. It does produce lightning during volcano storms. That's been documented, and there's different explanations for that. I think I know where, yeah, they did. They looked for extraterrestrial lightning. They found it on, they looked on Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, and Venus. They also looked at the Galileo and Cassini missions, all did flybys. So they did find it in Jupiter and Saturn. They did find lightning. They did detect. Venus has a lot of sulfuric acid on it, and while it does have atmosphere, they detected some kind of electrical discharge, but it was kind of inclusive as to whether that was actually lightning or not. So they you know, it's basically the sulfur, high sulfur content of Venus's atmosphere was, you know, they said kind of felt like it was an influence on that. And so it's not Venus is most Earth-like. Well, it could actually be the Earth if it was moved back to where we're at. So it was kind of inconclusive. So if it was actually real lightning or not. They did detect some kind of discharge on Venus. Yeah, here it is. Here's the optical lightning. Now they did finally detect optical lightning on Venus, VLF, and high frequency radio. On Earth, they've already detected. We already know we have it on Earth. They detected optical, VLF, and no high frequency radio on Jupiter lightning. On Saturn, they detected all three. On Titan, they did not detect any kind of optical lightning. They did detect VLF detection of lightning. So they didn't detect any high frequency radio. So, you know, Uranus, they did not detect any optical lightning. They did not detect any VLF lightning, but they did detect high frequency radio. So it was kind of inconclusive on Uranus. Neptune, they detected no optical lightning, but they did detect VLF and high frequency radio. So, you know, you get different results for different planets. So it was the Voyager. The Voyager did do some detection of that stuff. It was kind of inconclusive, but they had Cassini and some of the other missions they sent out there with better instrument packages that were able to compile this list, which is on page 34. So you're getting an overall view actually of what they discovered from the instrument packages. Ground-based radio observations are also out there. Yeah, they're getting better ability to detect sensors and stuff that actually can detect lightning and stuff on the planets. And that's important research because you're wanting to, it gets into the Star Trek question, is how do extraterrestrials, when they're looking around a galaxy for an Earth-like world, what are they really looking for and what do they have actually be able to detect? And one of those things that's been suggested is that they're looking for lightning flashes, because lightning does produce a lot of energy, and if they know how to detect that energy, they know that there's a gas world out there, and so there's a good chance in that solar system that since there's planets with gas around them, which is atmosphere, they know there's about a 50-50 chance of there actually being an Earth-like world out there, but they at least know there's an atmosphere around it. So that would tell them, well, let's go search that solar system, because there's a good chance that there might be an Earth-like world or a planet that has an atmosphere. That's what it tells them. So it's not like when a starship's cruising around the galaxy looking for Earth-like worlds that they don't have any, they're searching blindly. You know, that's one of the reasons why that kind of research goes out with spectrometers and stuff, is they're kind of looking at as to what an advanced civilization has to be able to detect Earth-like worlds. You know, which that could be good or bad. I mean, everybody saw the Star Wars movies, and, you know, that could show up too. And, well, you know, it's like Darth Vader talking to Princess Leia, you know, we can find your home world and we'll just test the Death Star out on it. And we have the ability to detect it. So that's also a downside of it, but it's, personally, that's one of the things that they would actually look for. Be able to detect out there in the solar system, I mean out there in the galaxy, as to where Earth-like worlds possibly might be. It's not just blindly running through the galaxy, just going to different stars and just doing a crapshoot as to what they're going to find out there. That's one of the things that they're going to look, so it narrows their search down. So, you know, and then of course if they do find an Earth-like world, then naturally they're going to categorize it and put it in a data bank on their home world or on the ship, and with what they discovered. But that's one of the things that they think, you know, an extraterrestrial civilization is actually going to look for when they're looking for an Earth-like world around in a galaxy. We don't have the ability to do that yet, but that's what this research is based on as to what they hope to find. It's called inspirational. I call it inspirational science, because that's the answers we're actually trying to get. So, you know. Alright, the rest, some of this other stuff, gets into yeah, I'm gonna cut. Some of the stuff is on frequency of lightning flashes. They've done studies on the frequency of lightning storm that's maybe happening over in People's Republic of China, and then they're looking at what might be happening in North America or Africa and see if there's a relationship between those flashes and a storm on one continent and a storm on another continent. You know, that's one of the natures of research. I'm not going to get into that, but here, okay, lightning and protoplanetary disk. This was done by the Japanese. It's getting into how lightning is energy is used to create a star, and I get a close-up view of the page, but it gives you, but it's done through an evolutionary point of view, and that is not what's creating causing that gas to accumulate at the star. There's actually a alien engineering that's actually doing that. And here's a picture of the gas swirling around the star, but there's actually something out there that's actually moving that gas. You know, you can see up there in the picture, you can see that gas actually swirling around that orbit, and it's kind of like if you go putt-putt golfing, you get it close enough to the you're actually driving the ball up to the hole, and if there's a little bit of the star is actually, you know, actually creating kind of a vortex around it anyways. But when you push the gas toward that and you push the putt-putt ball toward the hole, it's going to naturally curve around and then go right on into the hole, which is the same thing with a star, and it's gravitational warping. It's caused by Newton's laws of gravity, which are still relevant today, but it's not the full story on gravitation. Isaac Newton was a genius for his time, but he didn't have the full story. He didn't have the kind of the sensors and stuff that were starting to develop and actually measure gravitation. So, but you know, there is a Japanese scientist. Well, I don't know how they seriously believe that it's just a natural process of how all this gas accumulates from all over the galaxy, and it accumulates to form a star without some kind of engineering device. You know, I don't know how these are supposed to be your PhDs in science and stuff, and how they think that all that gas can be accumulated in a star without some kind of engineering. You know, it totally blows me. I don't, you know, I really seriously wonder if they really believe that that's how it happens. You know. But anyways, you start getting into how when you electrify something, and it's already, even the Japanese scientists notice that when you actually electrify something, dust starts to accumulate. It's the same way with the room ionizer. You know, there's extraterrestrial dust that's constantly blowing into on our planet, and you put a new room ionizer in a room, and it's going to clean that dust. You know, you can just wipe it off the shelf or whatever. But when you ionize dust, it actually starts to accumulate and clump together. But that's not enough to create you a planet Earth like. And he suggests that well, they think that that you can actually clean a planet from ionized dust. Not true. Actually, what ET does is he puts asteroids together and fuses them together and keeps putting them together, and then he actually electrifies the asteroids to the point where they actually start fusing, and you get this ball. Here again, you get the witch's ball, and the planet Earth is also a product. Is the same thing. Works in the same principle. It's based on the witch's ball concept of alchemy, of putting enough energy on the asteroids and stuff, fusing the rock together, building up the bulk of the planet, and actually fusing it into plasma, having enough energy to fuse it into plasma, and creating that round effect, same way as you would as an oyster pearl, and creating a planet. But it's actually extraterrestrial engineering that actually does that. Also, same thing, principle operates at the center of the galaxy. Now, you know, there's a recent article in Scientific America It's the latest magazine article on they're doing studies on the center of the galaxy, and they've got this huge ball that they tried to explain as being a black hole, but they discovered that it's not a black hole because these stars are actually orbiting around it. And when the star, that's the only place in the galaxy where a star is actually moving like a planet. Usually, under Newton's laws of gravity, it's all the planets circulate around the star because the star has the biggest mass and a gravitational pull, and it's kind of the anchor for the rest of the solar system. But at the center of the galaxy, this huge alien phenomena is so powerful it actually can move a star and treat a star like a planet. Now, isn't that coincidence? Because in the Egyptian lore, the Egyptian pharaohs were taught that Amun-Ra was powered by suns. So, hell, you're talking 2,000 years ago, and we don't even have a single telescope in Egypt that can see the center of the galaxy. So where did all that information come from? It obviously has an extraterrestrial origin. And that's what they discovered at the center of the galaxy. It is Amun-Ra, which is an alien phenomena. Amun-Ra is powered from the suns, and that's what they're looking at. And they're still denying it today that it's an extraterrestrial phenomenon. It's just like, they put it out there and they say that there's this huge, it produces a lot of gamma rays. Lightning does produce gamma rays. So obviously something that's emancipating from the witch's ball at the center of our galaxy, and according to what the pharaohs had learned, it's actually being powered from the sun, and kind of isolate. I don't know about that, because I fail to see how these small suns, and you got this huge witch's ball, and these small suns circulate around the witch's ball and power it, but you're talking something that's, I don't know, 75% larger than the sun as far as mass goes, and it's supposed to be powered by a smaller object. I don't understand that either. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I understand the principles of it. I don't. But something I do understand, though, is at the witch's ball at the center of the galaxy, there's a kind of a dust field that circulates around the witch's ball at the center of the galaxy. So we know that anything that gets close to the witch's ball just disintegrates into dust. In fact, when the sun comes close to the witch's ball at the center of the galaxy, if it was a black hole, their test was, well, if it was a black hole, when the sun comes close to it, it would start pulling off plasma from the sun and go sink into the black hole, and it would actually energize the edges of the plasma ball. That isn't what happened. So now they've discovered, well, it's not a black hole. But some of them are still trying to claim it's a black hole because they can't accept the phenomena that it's an extraterrestrial creation. This Darwin's theory of evolution is supposed to have been, it came into being by an evolutionary process, which is totally asinine, So, anyways, that dust, it's high energy vibration within the alien phenomena that creates anything that gets close to it, it's going to disintegrate. And so you get these fine particles that are circulating, kind of similar to Saturn and Jupiter's rings, that anything that gets close to it disintegrates into fine particles. So if you study string theory, then that out there is constantly vibrating energy and stuff. Obviously, it's some kind of very strong vibrational energy that's creating the planetary rings around the witch's ball. So it operates in the same principle. So string theory, if you study string theory, that might be a clue as to what is causing that at the center of the galaxy. It shows you how energy and stuff is constantly vibrating and stuff. What actually does create that. So, you know, if you're looking for answers as to what possibly might be at the center of the galaxy, I would recommend studying string theory, because that may be correct. You know, I don't know. You know, they don't either. A lot of them still, you know, what do you do now when you can't explain it as being a black hole at the center of the galaxy, but it's actually pulling in, it's holding the galaxy together, you know, and it's not big enough. So what's doing that? Obviously, we don't fully understand gravitation. We have Newton's laws of gravity are not complete. We only understand part of the story, you know. That's what they should have been putting out there in the magazines and stuff, is that Newton's laws of gravity are actually part of the story, but it's not the full story. That, you know, don't try to pretend like you know what you're talking about when you don't have the full story, and try to throw in that the black hole is what's creating that at the center of the galaxy, because you don't have any other explanation other than, you know. So either way, but it's kind of like the movie Star Trek, when the first one where the Enterprise they're zeroing in on the center of the V'ger's complex there, and they're getting closer and they're experiencing alien phenomena. Well, that's what our galaxy is. It's an alien phenomenon, and the gamma rays that are emancipating from it are all over the galaxy. So we have alien engineering that's creating those gamma rays, and it goes all the way out to the edges of the galaxy. So here again, that may be also part of the drawing in of the galaxy, as far as the, and also creates some of the ionization. It holds the galaxy together. But it's the same point, is that lightning also produces gamma rays. So it operates on the same principles of what's producing those gamma rays. So is what's at the center of the galaxy is also partly what we are, you know. People say, well, you know, some of the spiritual teachers and stuff say when people die and stuff, that they go to the center of the galaxy. Well, it may be true, because it may be composed of the same stuff that we're of, and that when you die, you actually, you know, return to the center of the galaxy, which is an extraterrestrial phenomena. But that's what's inspirational science, is trying to figure out how does ET operate out there, and why is it, you know, what is going on out there, and you're talking about engineering. It's on a galactic level. To me, that's awesome. Whether I understand how the extraterrestrials actually do that or not, because it's actually dynamic and engineering that we don't have, it's still awesome, because it's engineering on a level that goes all the way over across the galaxy and stuff, and these extraterrestrials know how to do it. So to me, that is inspirational. That's the reason why to study science, not come up with some bullshit theory that we can't, you know, putting a black hole at the center of the galaxy, because we can't explain how gravitational pull would keep the galaxy together, you know. And what to accept the factor is that ET knows how to do that. ET operates at an engineering level of that level, you know. But either way, yeah, there's different spectrometers they use. They use infrared, ultraviolet, and high energy gamma ray spectrometers. We're getting better with spectrometers of detecting lightning and doing observations and stuff. So that's an exciting piece of research area that they're actually advancing in. So you can actually, you know, you get some answers as to what that is. You know, spectrometers and stuff are only just come out recently. And they can hook it up to telescopes and stuff, and you know, it makes observational astronomy on the planet Earth practical and actually useful. People go, well, why do we got to keep these ground-based observatories going? Well, spectrometers have actually increased the ability to do research and stuff as far as studying the different stars and stuff around the galaxy and stuff. These spectrometers and stuff, you can actually pick up, get different kinds of information from the solar system, the different stars and stuff. And as technology advances, that they may be able to make improvements on that. So we might be able to actually detect lightning around a planet on another solar system, which would be rather exciting because it would give us a 50-50 chance of actually being an Earth-like world out there, especially within 15 light years of our planet. If we could actually detect lightning around one of in the solar systems of one of the stars, that's where you want to send your probe, because you got about a 50-50 chance of having an Earth-like world out there, or at least gas planets out there that are actually giving off lightning. So you got a 50-50, kind of a 50-50 chance of actually discovering an Earth-like world. So that's where you want to, if it's 15 light years away, that's where you want to send the probe, So you got a pretty good chance of discovering an Earth-like world. And that's the reason why that's important. The spectrometry and stuff is important, because you can actually discover that. I think that's about it for this book review. All right.